Is it true that no one has ever seen God? Someone asked on Reddit this morning, what did John mean in his gospel when he wrote, "No one has seen God at any time"? Because then he followed with the question, lots of people in the Bible saw God, didn't they? Jacob, when he wrestled with God, people like Moses, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, just to name a few. And then he asked, in addition to that, what is the deal with the Bible saying about God's face? Why does the Bible keep using the expression God's face? Why is his face so important? So let's talk about that a little bit. It was in John 1:18 that John wrote, no one has seen God at any time. At that time, he was talking about Jesus being the one through whom we see God. So what does that mean? I mean, it's interesting. He said, no one has seen God, but we've seen God in Jesus. So here's the explanation. Any time that God reveals himself and people see him, they are seeing only a partial and what we might call an approximate sighting of God. There are verses that say God is invisible. Exodus 33:20, Deuteronomy 4:12, Colossians 1:15, 1 Timothy 1:17. So anytime someone sees God, it's just a partial glimpse at what he's like in his totality. Even Jesus was not seen as God in all his glory. What John in particular is saying is that people were able to perceive God by looking at Jesus, but they certainly are not seeing God in all his majesty and glory manifested as light, truth, righteousness, holiness, and splendor. So even though people get to see revelation of God, nobody gets the whole package. The Bible says that's not possible in our physical bodies. So let's go on to this person's additional question. Why is God's face so important? Well, God's face is an idiom. It's an idiomatic expression from the ancient world that means to be in somebody's presence. When you're before the face of God or when you see the face of God, it means you are aware that you were in God's presence. Now, sometimes in the Bible, seeing God face to face denotes having a relationship with God, and it talks about Moses that way in Exodus 33:11, that he saw God face to face, and he got to talk with God face to face. But most of the time, it just means that someone has experienced the presence of God, that they saw the face of God. And there's also a place in Numbers 6:26 when it says that may God turn his face toward you. And that's an expression that means that God is showing you favor. But when God says to Moses in Exodus 33:20, no one can see my face and live, he specifically means that no human person would survive seeing God in all his glory. Our physical bodies are not stable enough to survive that kind of exposure to deity. We have to be changed, transformed before we can see God in his fullness. So let's talk about it. Talk to me. Ask your questions, make your comments. Let's discuss it.